Hi, welcome to Reddit Tea Time. Using a throwaway, but here's some super long backstory. About 2 years ago, I, 22 male, was at a party with a friend of mine who we'll call Josh. Me and Josh were just vibing to the music and chilling when he suddenly spots two girls. The one he was interested in was this pretty blonde, while the other one was her heavier friend. That's not to say her friend was unattractive, but just a little noticeably bigger than what could be considered average weight. Anyway, Josh turned to me and urged me to be his wingman by taking one for the team and distracting her friend while he chatted with the blonde. After a little back and forth, I decided to just do it to be a good friend. So we made our way over and made our move, where I would go in first and start chatting with the friend while Josh began flirting with the girl he was interested in. Again, this friend I was talking to was by no means unattractive, just a bit heavier than what most guys, myself included at the time, would go for. I thought she was very sweet, even though I was just talking to her out of obligation. It didn't really matter anyway, because ultimately, the girl Josh was into already had a boyfriend apparently and had seemingly brushed him off, with him eventually patting me on the back to signify I didn't have to chat with her friend anymore. So I decided to politely end the conversation. However, not before she asked me for my Instagram, which I decided to give her. I didn't really think much of it at the time, and I was certain I would never see her again. However, a couple of days later, I ran into the same girl in my school's campus store. I didn't really recognize her at first, but she seemed to know me immediately. We decided to chat for a bit, and I was reminded of her name. Megan, not her real name. Anyway, it was really just small talk until Megan suddenly seemed a little awkward. I asked her if everything was all right, and she replied that nothing was wrong, but she wanted to know if I wanted to go out with her sometime. This actually came as a shock to me, as it was the first time a girl had ever made the first move and asked me out. So even though she wasn't really my type at the time, I said yes, and that was probably the best decision of my life. Me and Megan really hit it off, and before long, we were in a serious relationship. Any qualms I had about her weight were gone immediately after the first time we were intimate, as I actually found her body to be really soft and comforting. I had never felt so relaxed cuddling with someone before I met her. We've been dating for 2 years now, and I absolutely love her. She's my everything, and I've even been thinking of proposing as soon as we're both done with school. Everything was perfect, until last month. Last month, we hosted a small get-together just for a few friends who are also in relationships, like a couple's game night sort of thing. It was here where Josh, who has been my good friend for years now, was pretty drunk and made a joke about how if he had never forced me to take one for the team back then, I would have never found the love of my life. The joke didn't really register on me as anything negative, and I was also drunk, so I just laughed it off. Megan was cuddled up next to me on the couch though, and asked what Josh meant by that. I told her nothing, but Josh, being the drunk idiot that he was, elaborated and told her the story about how we met through my perspective at the time. Megan just said, "Oh," and didn't really react, so I figured she'd just brushed it off. However, the rest of the night she seemed kind of distant and even a little sad. Finally, once everyone had left, she let it all out and started crying. She was essentially in shock because this whole time, she thought I approached her then because I was interested in her, and learning it was because I was forced to seemed to bring back old insecurities within her. It doesn't help that she's actually gained weight since back then, even though I don't really have any problem with that, and have told her that multiple times. I immediately gave her the full story about how I fell for her right after that, and I have loved and adored her ever since. She seemed reassured, and we even cuddled the whole night after that. Since that night though, she's been acting differently. It's like she's lost her confidence around me. She only wears large, baggy clothing even though she used to never before. She refuses to change with me in the room and hardly eats in front of me. Before, I used to playfully tickle her stomach sometimes and she'd always smile and play along. Now she seems insecure when I so much as accidentally graze it. She also refuses to be intimate without a shirt on. So far, I sat her down multiple times and explained that her body is incredibly attractive to me and there's no one more beautiful in my eyes than her. But it's like she doesn't believe me. Lately, I've been thinking about offering her to come to the gym with me, but I'm scared she may be more insecure at that suggestion. How do I get her to believe that I love her no matter what she looks like? that I truly adore her in all aspects. I just want her to be confident in herself again. Edit. First off, I just want to express how grateful I am to everyone who commented. I wasn't expecting to get these many comments, and even though I didn't really reply to many, I certainly read the majority of them. It's only been a day since I made my post, so I don't really have any real update, but I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. First, a lot of comments seem to have the idea that me and my friends have secretly been making fun of Megan behind her back for years, and I can assure that is not the case at all. I love Megan, and I would never intentionally make a hurtful joke at her expense, nor would I let any of my friends. At the time, I believed the joke Josh made to be at my expense, not Megan's, sort of like making fun of me for not opening my horizons. I see now how hurtful it came across, but trust me, I would not have laughed it off if I had known that back then. It was also essentially the first time I'd really thought about the circumstances surrounding our first meeting in a long time. Second, there's also been a lot of misconceptions about the story I told in my post versus how Josh and I told Megan on the night. First, I'd like to reiterate again that both me and him were pretty drunk, and that even Megan was tipsy at that time. Josh basically told her that I was helping him out by talking to her that night we met, which I know is still an awful way of putting it, believe me, I know. I later elaborated and said I was just playing wingman at first because I didn't see how amazing she truly was until our first date. Keep in mind, however, that I was still drunk during this elaboration. In hindsight, when I first typed this post, I should not have used the words pretty or heavier, but I wasn't really putting too much thought into it as I knew it was a long story. But trust me when I say I didn't put it that way to Megan. I know either way, I screwed up by telling her about it, but as I said in my previous comment, I kind of panicked out of fear that she may take it in a worse manner. Third, a lot of you seem to think I'm some sort of predatory douche who objectifies my own girlfriend, and I just want to cut that interpretation off immediately. I love this woman. I truly believe I want to spend the rest of my life with this woman. I want her to feel comfortable and sexy around me. The only reason I talk so much about how beautiful I find her body is because her body and how I view it is what seems to be the source of her insecurities. I genuinely find it appalling that some people in the comments have this idea that I think I'm doing a service or something because I'm with a bigger girl. I love her, truly and wholeheartedly. Anyway, those are just some clarifications I wanted to make based on the comments I've been seeing. Again, I want to thank everyone who responded with practical, genuine advice. As many have stated, this is something I have to work on slowly over time, so I don't think I'll be updating this anytime soon. However, I am considering bringing up possibly seeing a couples counselor or therapist to Megan, as I believe she needs to stop ignoring the issue and be fully open about it. I'm just scared that she may have an anxiety attack or something if I do, because as I mentioned in some comments, she's very anxious when it comes to addressing relationship issues. I might update if we do end up doing that though. Thank you, everyone. Now for some comments. This is the kind of thing only time and being attentive to her needs consistently can fix. She won't forget it though. Under no circumstances do you mention the gym. For the love of all that is holy, do not do it. Sure way to negate any progress you may have made reestablishing trust. If, and only if, she expresses an interest in the gym, maybe go do some weights or treadmill walks side by side. Take a class together, etc. Together being the operative word. Trust is lost in buckets but gained in drops. Words don't inspire trust. Actions do. Be loving and affectionate. Be romantic and show her you want her. Her, not some heavily filtered Instagram wannabe model. Your friend is a loudmouth. Make sure you thank him appropriately, LOL. Best wishes to you all. I mean, imagine if it was the other way around. That she thought your friend was the hot one and thought you were the more overweight, less attractive friend. And then you realize she only started talking to you to be a wing woman. I'd be hurt too. I'm surprised you would even think about asking her to go to the gym after all that. I mean, her options right now are to try to save face and pretend that she's fine when she's not, or be angry or sad that the foundation of your relationship to her was a lie. The latter wouldn't do anything to change the past, so she's likely dealing with her emotions right now. I, 41 male, am going through a divorce. Paperwork is not signed as we are waiting for some medical issues to be cleared up first. She holds medical coverage and I have some issues being taken care of. Divorce is not messy and we're not using lawyers or anything like that. Simple sign with notary and over. I asked for the divorce and moved out in March of this year. I met a girl, 36 female, on Thursday at a meet and greet event. We hit it off immediately. We went out Friday night and had a great time. Had plans for Saturday, but she canceled because she can't get past that I'm not divorced and she wouldn't want this to happen to her. I can't sign paperwork to divorce officially due to the medical issues. She said to reach out when I was officially divorced. I really liked her and wanted to pursue her further. Should I let her go and move on? Should I ask her to be friends? We have a lot of common interests and I would enjoy doing those activities with her even if we weren't romantically involved. Would this be too weird? She has no kids and she never married. I have one 10-year-old. Now for some comments. You should do exactly what she told you to do. Honestly, why is it so complicated? Reach out to her when the paper is signed. You're surprised that someone doesn't want to date a married man? Do you have any idea how often women hear, "We're getting divorced," just waiting on paperwork? Paperwork that never comes. Even if you're totally on the up and up, you're tied to your wife for an indeterminate amount of time. Also, what's your plan for health insurance after your divorce? You should do that now. So she is a decent human being who doesn't date married men. I don't blame her. So many men claim to be getting divorced soon, but are still married months or even years later. She probably doesn't want the drama or stigma of dating a married man. My husband won't work. In the 10 years since we've been together, he has collectively been employed for 2 years. I kicked him out again this morning. He has been making these passive-aggressive comments to me the last few weeks. I just couldn't take it anymore. I told him I refused to be treated like this under the roof that only I pay for. We were separated when I got this apartment. As soon as I let him move back in, he quit that job. He has never been on my lease. I had to threaten to call the cops to get him to leave. I just feel like it's so cruel for him to have put all this stress on me for this long. He does all the dishes and laundry, so he's contributing something, I guess. But I pay for everything. I buy his weed, pay the bills or rent, car payments, trips. I just can't do it anymore. It hurts me so much that he isn't willing to be my partner. In the few hours he's been kicked out, he reached back out to his therapist and got a higher at interview. But I feel like he's just going to quit everything again as soon as I let him back in. I haven't eaten since yesterday and I can't stop crying. Why won't he stop exploiting me and be my partner? Now for some comments. I'm sorry you're hurting. The best relationship advice I've ever seen from Reddit was this line by New Rider 365. I want the best for him, but he's not entitled to having his best life at the expense of my best life. This comment hit me hard and made me reevaluate things. Wishing you the best. OP replied, wow, that is really eye-opening and not a perspective I thought about. You know this guy. He has shown you who he is every day for 10 years. He won't change. He won't get better. Take his weed money and hire a monthly cleaner. Take that love you gave to him and use it on yourself. He's going to quit again if you support him. I'm not going to tell you you have to divorce him, but you definitely have to stop supporting him. Stop buying his weed. Stop paying for his place to live. Stop all of that. He needs to support himself, and he's simply not going to do that if you keep letting him use your resources. My 34 female boyfriend, 35 male of 9 months, is very wealthy and often treats his guy friends, their friends, and their girlfriends to vacations, spending $5,000 to $10,000 plus on houses for the weekend. But then on couples trips, he expects the two of us to split expenses. He lives it up with his friends, but then becomes cost-conscious whenever he and I do things together. I have no problem paying, but it makes me feel like he values me less than his guy friends. I always thought that a significant other should be prioritized relative to friends, but maybe I have things backward. Do you think this is a negative sign for the future of our relationship? Update. Does anyone think it would be too soon for counseling to get to the bottom of this and our compatibility? We're 9 months into the relationship. Now for some comments. I actually went through this with my husband when we were dating. He had just gotten out of a relationship where the girl was a bit of a gold digger and he paid for everything for her and her mom, lol. Like they had expected it and stuff. I think he was so turned off and worried about that he wanted to keep him and I equal. His friends may have been his friends for decades. 9 months is still really new for some people. I think you need to talk to him, and don't overspend to try to keep up with him. You've been with him for 9 months. How long has he known his friends? Most likely years and years. He knows they're sticking around, so I think it's fair. I'm sure in a couple of years' time, if you're still together, he might do the same for you. Going for counseling in a 9-month relationship will not be a great idea and may seem as a red flag to him. Talk with him. Ask him whether something has happened in the past which makes him do this. Maybe he encountered some gold diggers. I think he's trying to be careful, so have a discussion with him. The main motive should be equal treatment, not money. What do you think? Please let me know in the comments below. If you like these stories, please consider subscribing. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next Reddit story. In the meantime, please take care of yourself. Bye for now.